Hey y'all, today I'm gonna be playing this top 4 list from my local regionals. Um, we're gonna see what it looks like into Shanks especially, so I'm fairly certain my opponent beat at least one Shanks on the day, I believe, and if not, let's just pretend they did. So we have 2 games here, and we'll kind of get to see the deck in full action. Alrighty, so here's our first game against Shanks. Looks like we have at least one searcher. We held on to this one. And then we're a little bit worried about not finding stage, obviously. Stage or a Leo would have been great, but did not find them. So looking here, they seem to be on the aggro variant. You can tell because of the Nami Searcher. Anytime you're seeing a Nami Searcher, you're probably about to run into a either Rush Luffy, the 3-drop Sanji, something along those lines. At my local regionals, I think the only top 8 Shanks was on this kind of hybrid aggro list that I was running a few weeks ago. That had, all the good beginning stuff and the straw hats, and then the late game normal Shank stuff. There we had not enough to counter out with. I think there's an argument of having done it if we did have the 2-2Ks, but we didn't. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what the plan is here for myself. Just kind of checking our opponent to see if they're going to let us get away with anything. I usually only do this as like my first swing of the game, and then for the rest of the game I'll just assume my opponent knows what they're doing. But it has taken them a while, which is interesting. Just skip ahead. No, they got there. Okay. And they do the proper check and we move on. Not sure my plan is to get back with this Frankie, but I think that they're, like, looking back, I think like maybe even just Zoroing the Nami maybe a better play, but what's probably spooking me is I know there's the 5-drop coming, so just a 5 and a 7 swing here when I'm pretty low on resources as is. I do have the Rebecca to draw off the Frankie, but my opponent chooses not to use their Rush Luffy, which is surprising. And even though I'm not going to get the draw off it, I'm only having 2 Dawn here. And we do finally get our Coliseum, which is nice. But yeah, I'm not sure why my opponent is holding up 2. That's like a pretty odd number in Shanks. It's an even number of Dawn, but not a number for Shanks to keep. And interestingly, the other thing there is my opponent just doesn't swing their Nami into my Rebecca. I think that's pretty free. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what am I gonna do to play out this Coliseum. Looks like I'll get a free, okay, so I think this is just wrong, but maybe not. So I'm assuming that the only reason they hold up 2 is because they want to kill one of these things on my board. So I'm just swinging 5, but they could have just done that anyway. I think going back, I'd probably do like something along the lines of like Coliseum, Cavendish, swing 6, but not in that order. It looks like here Okay, so it looks like here I'm going to maybe save Colosseum for the following turn, because I'll be at 8. And hopefully they'll play out something for me to swing into. Oh, okay. That's an interesting choice. I don't think I would have made this choice again. But yeah, I guess I'm just trying to draw cards and clear this Nami. But I don't think this is worth the resources, especially if they do have the Fire Fist or whatever it's called. Red Hawk. I guess it is kind of funny putting them to where like now they'd have to Red Hawk +1, but maybe not funny enough for this turn. I think I looked and saw that they were going to be at 7, so I didn't have to worry about Rayleigh. Still end up clearing it with the mole gun, and they play out a Sanji. Sorry, I will cut that out. They end up playing out the Sanji. And I'm just going to give them the card off the Sanji here. And we get to swing 6. I think it would have probably been slightly better to have swung first, but no biggie. Not sure what triggers Shanks has that remove. I know there's the Red Hawk gives -10 power for the turn. But. Alright, so now we have a very large board, but they could just play a Rayleigh and clear the majority of it, because that card's really good. But they don't have it. So they're going at face. So they've got a very different plan. And we're looking at our hand that has no 2Ks in it. Another reason we probably should have let Gat stay in our hand. Yeah, our opponent's going to come in aggressively here. We end up countering out with 3 cards to keep our life total high. Okay, so here's a situation where I think they have Red Hawk. They've literally held it up every turn this game. So I don't want to just lose good cards for no reason. So we're going to make sure that all of our bodies are at least 6K so that he can't Red Hawk them away after ability. Okay. So I'm going to try to drain some resources here into my opponent. I believe my plan is to King Kong gun to make sure I clear this body now that he's committed so many resources. Yeah. I think if I wanted to keep playing this resource game, I could have used that on Rebecca instead though. But, you know, I keep playing around this Red Hawk, so I feel like he's been holding it, and I spent another turn making it difficult for him to Red Hawk anything. Like another big benefit to that King Kong gun, right? Is those it kind of messes up your opponent's math so much, adding that 3 extra power. So here, we're starting to run low on resources. Yeah, and my opponent plays the Shanks. We'll gladly block and draw. Looking at this now, I don't know what I'm about to do. I think we should just put almost all of that Dawn on Cavendish and just swing into the Shanks. If our opponent gets out of it, that's fine. We've spent every card in their hand to do it. And instead, you know, we're trying to whittle down their 5-card hand. And sort of our biggest benefit was that their hand was low, right? Yeah, and then, you know, this turn has turned into more of a, just trying to whittle them down, which is a difficult prospect. We do know, though, that they run very little removal. They could affect more than one body, so. But, you know, we've kind of priced ourselves into playing a game now where our opponent has more resources, so they're able to produce this rush body. I kind of have to save this now because they have 2 swings, and I need every body I have to try to win the game. My opponent is holding up these 2 resources so much. You know, I don't think there's any way they don't have the Red Hawk, and if they don't, like, super well played by my opponent, just never needing it, right? Once again, making sure that I don't just lose a body to Red Hawk that I don't want to lose. The Rebecca at this point I have to put 3 on, and I don't think I'm willing to do it. But, you know, you can see like how leaving this Shanks on board has just created a very difficult situation for me. Yeah, I can just see that this Kairos, the values, I'm never going to get it. Notably, if my opponent did have Red Hawk, that would have been a pretty ideal time to use it. So now, like, rewatching, I'm just wondering, like, did they ever have it? Has it been mind games since, like, turn 2? It's possible. Next level. Okay. Interesting thinking. Yeah. Okay, well, if they got it, now's the time. Wow. Okay, so they go to 0. And here I am probably searching for a blocker. Blocker or bust. Yeah, we're busting. So we take the counter, we get rid of Cavendish, and we hope that they don't swing numbers that kill us. Notably, we could swing 6. Yep, we do. Just make them use some counter. Do they finally Red Hawk kill a Leo? They do. Alright, so they finally felt the need to clear a body with that Red Hawk. So, you know, at least that 6k swing paid off. But yeah, we just get to see if our opponent can math this out here. I think that we have to counter this one, and now we just lose to any rush body. And they have the master of all rush bodies. Nice. Notably, you know, this could have been any rush character. That was their only one, though, so that's cool. Alright, so we lost that one. This is kind of how I feel like the Shanks matchup usually goes. They usually just have a little bit more removal to keep you from poking throughout the game. But we'll check out the next one and see how we do. Okay, so game 2, we kind of there's some similar stuff. We're on second, and we're gonna be using our Leo searcher to find another searcher and keep digging. I made a few changes to the deck between these, but super minor. I think I added +1 Sabo, +1 one-legged soldier, and -1 Gats. So it's something like, or -2 Gats. So it's like 3, 3, 2. So we pick up the stage here. That's nice. And I think notably, and it's something I'm learning. See if I remember to do it here. Okay, cool. So something I'm learning is whenever we can, we want to make this first swing a 6 if we can afford to do it. We really want to like take a life early if possible, or remove something like that from their hand. And that card is super good against us, so we're very happy to see it go. We pick up the red rock here, which is great in this matchup. It's kind of the main way we can manage some of these bodies. Our opponent is going to swing 6-6. I think this is just wrong into Usopp. We almost always have 2Ks. Almost always. Ooh, okay. So we got the Rebecca. So our next turn is looking pretty good. But we don't want to keep this Luffy around either. I'm fairly sure part of me was contemplating, do I swing? Okay. We check our opponent. He should know we want to kill this Luffy. So he's smart. He takes the first hit. So now our swing is much less effective here. But we're still going to do it. It'll still make us take a 2K out of their hand. Or 2 1Ks if we're lucky. If we see 2 1Ks come out here, that's pretty good information for us to have, right? That's exactly what they have to do. They have to clear more Lucky Roos. I think our opponent might be undervaluing Lucky Roo in this matchup. Definitely possible. Yeah, we're gonna keep this first swing at least alive. He's gonna have to commit another Dawn to swing. And so you could do something like 7-7. He's gonna go 8, just let it go. Draw our card. Worth mentioning, the way he swung allowed us to draw that card. So he could have swung big into it to start and we wouldn't have drawn the card. Get rid of our 2K bodies. Okay, so now we have our Rebecca turn. So here is actually kind of an interesting thing I didn't know. And maybe this isn't how this works, I'll have to look it up later. So what I want to do, and I'm pretty sure this is all correct, what I wanted to do was kill the Zoro, bounce, or kill the Zoro, and then if it created a body to play at, to use the Curious effect to bounce it. But I think I have to do both of my effects before any of his on KOs or anything happen. And if that's not the case, I can ask my friend who's knows the rules a little bit better, but it'll be good to know in the future. Because here I clear it, and I'm like, okay, well, what's he gonna play? Oh, I have to pick something. And I choose to bring that back. I'm probably just gonna play it this turn. My opponent didn't even have a body to play, so I didn't get punished at all. And you know, there I would have just been happy either way. If he wants to give me 2 cards out of his hand, all the best to him. Here I'm just being kind of cheeky. I think I should just swung 6 rather than playing out this Rebecca, just to put a little extra pressure on my opponent. I think what I really want to do is to whittle him down to that like 2 life threshold. Yeah, we're gonna Rayleigh here. Notably, I'm gonna throw out there, like, this Rayleigh turn isn't great for him, right? Like, he just turned my Kairos into 7, he can't swing at it. Only thing he really has to swing at on my board is me, and that's just a 2k counter. And I've been flush with 2Ks this turn. Okay, so I see the King Kong gun, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what is my win condition in the long run? Is I'm gonna get him to 2 life, I'm gonna King Kong gun him, and then he's gonna be, you know, so low with my big board that he can't survive, right? So I think that there's, yeah, so 5. We're gonna play out another body here. And we'll see. You know, there's a chance here he has the Shanks, and if he does, he can clear my 8. Yeah. So my plan gets a little harder. Yes, I just barely didn't have enough counter to save him there. I think that there's a world where if I had another 1k counter, I'd used it. Keep my Kairos around. Like I said, I know what my game plan is here, and it's to get him as low as humanly possible, as quick as possible. So I think it's pretty likely here that we see something like 7, 7, 11, something like that. And just say, now what? Yep. Yeah. 7-drop Rebecca still is a 4k. Something. Oh, okay. Actually, just go 10 here because I want to play the blocker. It is a little risky. He has already used the -1. So that's not as worrisome, luckily. But there's also just a good shot my opponent has 3 2Ks here. Yep. That's what they do. Oh wow, okay. So they actually used most of their hand. So now we're at a place where they do have a Shanks on board, but we've got a very decent hand advantage. We're about to draw another card, likely. Yeah. I think I should block here. It forces my opponent to commit something to kill the Cavendish. Here it's something I can't deal with. That's fine. And then he's likely, if he'd like, he can kill this Rebecca as well. Yeah. Alright. Well, he's made a very large board, but he's very low on hand size. So I'm starting to count. I'm like, is there a way to just like lethal him this turn? I don't know. He's so low. I feel like it could be possible, but I had just played an opponent as well who killed me with a Goldie Roger, so I'm a little scared to put him at 0. My blockers just become useless. I think I'm even thinking that over now, but I'm like, hey, you know, I have enough counter that and life that even if that was his plan, I'd be fine. Then I start thinking, can I clear any of these bodies? Is it realistic to just clear the Shanks? Even? I could swing 12 at it, but if he happens to have the counter... So I choose to go for life. This is almost a guaranteed hit. And then we're going to get very aggressive. Oops. Okay, so obvious mistake. He hasn't even used his ability here. So I'm kind of just giving him this. I'm not sure what the better play would have been. It's probably like play a Rebecca, play the blocker, play the Zoro maybe? Or maybe just play 2 blockers. I don't know. But yeah, at least that draws me a card. This is just kind of free. Pretty big mistake. Yeah. And I give him the oops. It'd be interesting to see what he decides to do here. Yeah, he's gonna go face. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe he's going for some sort of rush lethal here. But then he does play out a blocker instead. So I'm doing some Dawn counting. I know I can clear the blocker, but my worry is that I just gave a lot of resources, right? I didn't necessarily need to do that. I'm kind of wondering, like, how did I get all these Rebeccas in my hand? So we go there. He's also holding up the 2, so once again, does he have the Red Hawk? If so, there's no way I can lethal here. And I don't want my blocker to die, so... If he has the Red Hawk, he can use it if he wants. I'm just gonna heck in. You know? The way I looked at it, so unlikely I have lethal that I need to play to live another turn. So that's what I do. And I'm checking out my 3 Rebeccas. You know, notably, I think they really need to get the alt Rebeccas up on here. Nice. I want to look at all the alts for Usopp. We'll see if my opponent can get through these 2 blockers and my 1 life. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5k of defense. I need to just survive this turn, I think. It's pretty tough for them to get to 15 otherwise. I mean, I guess if they held up all of their Dawn here, I just have to try to call whatever bluff was happening there. My opponent's taking a think. I think without a piece of removal here, they're gonna have a pretty rough time. We have exact counter here. So we do end up just taking it. We're pretty happy to possibly keep a Frankie around if they'll allow it. Rayleigh. Draw. We're gonna get. We have no way to draw a card. But it didn't matter because our opponent decided this was a good enough time to call the game. They have 5k of counter in hand, so they realized that, you know, I'm probably just gonna swing 15 here. And they can't survive that, right? So I'm like looking through my trash. I'm like, well, did I really not have a Leo or a Rebecca in here? And I didn't. So pretty funny. But that's the second game. I think like I said, like these like Shank and Usopp games, they really just come down to if like Usopp has a perfect game and Shanks has a slightly less than perfect game, you can get there. But definitely Shanks is pretty favored. I think the more aggro version especially because we're 4 life leader, but I'm still working on it, trying to figure it out. I definitely think you need at least 2 King Kong gun to get there. Maybe even 3. We'll see. Alright. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.